The order has gone out, and the engines on 26 IndyCar racing machines have fired as they now enter the parade lap here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. It looks dry all the way around after early morning showers, but it has dried up. The man on the pole in the STP machine is Roberto Guerrero. Let's take a look at the entire grid. On the pole for the fourth time in 1987 to go with a win at Phoenix, Roberto Guerrero needs points today to think championship. Bobby Rahal second fast in the final practice, almost unbeatable at Mid-Ohio. Michael Andretti says his car is the best he's ever had here, a course that's not been kind to him over the years. Mario Andretti, he'll drive in pain following the Pocono crash, but he lived up to it at Elkhart Lake, hopes to again today. Danny Sullivan, third fastest in the final practice and has 4 top 5 finishes since going to the March Chevrolet combination. Rick Mears behind the wheel of the car Al Unser won Indianapolis with and then crashed at Pocono. Al Unser Jr. would like a strong finish in his final 4 races for Team Shearson before going to Gallus. And Jeff Brabham also looks for a strong stretch drive coming off 2 second-place finishes to enhance his chances for a good ride in '88. Emerson Fittipaldi, very good on the wet surfaces, 5th fastest in the final practice. And Kevin COGAN, he was surprising to everyone, fastest in the final practice session, and if he gets any room on the track, he could become a factor. And a look at the rest of the field in this starting group of 26 as we have Derek Daly and Jose Legarza in the 6th row. And following them will be Ari Luyendyk and John Andretti. In row number 8, Jeff Wood and Davy Jones. And here we have a look at the course from back in the field as Jeff Brabham warms up his tires. One of the in-car cameras we will employ this afternoon. He is in the 8th starting position alongside Al Unser Jr., who you see just in front of him. A bit further back in the field in the 17th starting position, again warming up the tires back and forth across the racetrack, is that of Pancho Carter in the Hardee's Machinist March. He is in row number 9 on the 17th starting position. And there you see the rest of the field unfolding. And Tom, as we get a look at the race course and the pace car coming up, there's Rahal's car and Guerrero. It looks dry all the way around, and they're all going on slick tires. We weren't sure just a while ago.
Well, I think they not only have one eye on the racetrack, they've got to have one eye on the skyline and trying to decide if it's going to stay dry the whole race. But it looks good now, and hopefully that'll be the case for the remainder of the race.
Second parade lap about to come to a close. They're off on the back straightaway right now. A couple of S's, the carousel, and will be on the front straightaway. They are going to start on the back stretch. The longest straightaway on the race course is where they throw the green flag. That's so I think, Tom, they can get the bulk of the field on the same piece of pavement before it flies instead of on the front, which is very short from the carousel up to the start-finish line itself.
Well, it is. It's a short distance between the last corner and the start-finish line and the pit straight, but I still think that we probably should be starting this race from the start-finish line or in front of the pits because, you know, the drivers are professional. They can adapt to all conditions, and I think we robbed the fans a little bit by starting them over in the back straightaway where there's not as many people to watch the start of that race.
They should begin bunching up very shortly as we anticipate the start in just a couple of moments. Who might make an early move, Tom? Because a good start is so important here.
Well, a start is important. It's real tough to pass. You know, looking at practice times, COGAN was the quickest in the last session where most of the teams will be running on full tanks for maybe even the first time for the race weekend. So COGAN ran quick, and we'll have to look for him to make a move early.
And you see the front row, Rahal on the outside and Roberto Guerrero closest to you in the number 4 machine. They have the field in tow, and the Andretti's bunch up right behind them. We are anticipating a start in just a couple of moments. The order will come from flagman Nick Finaro. They're on the back straightaway. The acceleration begins. We anticipate the green flag, and we're racing at Mid-Ohio, and they call it off. A yellow flag is waved by the starter on the back straightaway. A little quick on the trigger, perhaps. Roberto Guerrero was out of line trying to get the jump, Tom Stephen. Now, this lap will count in the 84-lap total of the event, but they have to pull it back in and try again.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Roberto jumping or just not the rest of the field ready to go when he is. When you qualify in the pole position, it's your decision on when you can accelerate and when you head for that start and finish line or that green flag. So, you know, maybe Bobby was sleeping a little bit or didn't expect Roberto to gas it quite that quick, but we're going to try one more time.
84 laps is the total we expect in the race, and this does count on road courses and street circuits and IndyCar racing. They put it in the book. And perhaps, well, first of all, Tom, fuel isn't going to be a big factor on this race course anyway, but it does save a few drops by decelerating and going slow for the extra lap.
Well, the reason they're on the clocks now is because of the fuel allocation. You know, they have to average 1.8 miles per gallon. That doesn't sound like a whole lot, but, you know, with this kind of horsepower to weight ratio, the cars use up all the fuel they have allocated. And if they don't, they just turn the engine a little tighter next week and try to use most of it up.
They're on the front straightaway once again, and the first part of the race is in the book. The yellow flag held by Nick Finaro there, and we are waiting for them to get up into the keyhole section of the race course, turns 4 and 5. They will straighten it up on the 3,000-foot back straightaway, where under race conditions, the top-end speed is in the neighborhood of 180 miles an hour. They will bunch it up once again and try and get the green flag and go racing. They're approaching that now, and they've bunched up a little bit tidier this time, it looks like.
Well, it's still early. They're in great formation now, but as they get closer to the green flag, people have different ideas of what they're going to do at the start of the race.
Out of turn number 5 they come. The first 8 cars in perfect order. There's the Patrick teammates, Kevin COGAN and Emerson Fittipaldi, one in front of the other. They'll straighten it up, and the rest of the field coming through. Again, the acceleration is underway, and we'll wait and see if we get the green flag this time through, and it is waved by Nick Finaro. And Bobby Rahal on the outside jumps to the lead as he hits the break point at the end of the long straightaway, leads the single file trio there with Michael Andretti tucking into third and Mario Andretti fourth. Rick Mears is on the outside of that two-car tandem right there, alongside teammate Danny Sullivan. Sullivan pulls ahead of Mears there in the 5th spot, and Rahal right now as he gets out to the jump is in the early lead here at Mid-Ohio. We're working lap number 2, and here's Jeff Brabham right behind Rick Mears on the race course, coming up to the Budweiser Bridge in the back straightaway. The next big problem for them all is the carousel as they come back around. What a spectacular stop from Mid-Ohio from the Jeff Brabham machine, running in about 7th position at this moment. Into the carousel they go. Tom Trixie right there.
Well, here you've got to be careful. You can't get on the power too quick or you get the car out of shape for this little left-hander that gets onto the pit straightaway.
Bobby Rahal working over through turn number 1, the fastest turn on the race course. They lift a little there, but not too much. And Bobby Rahal putting a little space between he and Roberto Guerrero, a couple of car lengths, if you can call that significant space. And it's a single file procession into the keyhole, and off-camber, long right-handed turn as Michael Andretti tucks right under the wing there of Roberto Guerrero. Michael Andretti perhaps looking to make an early move. You've got to climb up in the field at every opportunity. This is one of the passing points on the race course. The break point into turn number 7, and Michael Andretti takes a peek to the inside. It's not there. Roberto Guerrero closes the door, and into the S's they go, still in that 1-2-3 configuration. Bobby Rahal, who has won 2 straight events here in Indy cars at the Mid-Ohio race course and already won twice in 1987 in other events. Davy Jones has spun off the race course, the first road course race for this rookie, an A.J. Foyt protege who ran the Speedway and the Michigan 500 in a Foyt-prepared machine and tried at Pocono, is apparently out of the race, the first retirement. Back to the leader, we have Bobby Rahal. The pressure is up from Roberto Guerrero, and that could be where they'll stand for a good long time, Tom. On this race course, very few places to pass. You wait for a mistake, you wait for the opportunity, and they don't really present themselves all that frequently with the great curves up front.
Well, they won't, especially early, because, you know, the cars will be good. The drivers are not tired, so they're not going to make any mental mistakes early. I know Michael had a good run at the start, but Roberto was able to close the door a couple laps down the back straightaway. But Michael's all over the back of Roberto right now, and so we'll see what happens.
A little bit of slide there by Michael Andretti. Got the
momentum, and it magnifies itself by the end of the long back straightaway there.
Remember, Michael Andretti thinks he has the fastest car this weekend. Michael Andretti did not qualify in the front row because he says he got tied up in slower traffic, but they are very confident down here in the Traco pit crew. They think they may be the superior machine at Mid-Ohio.
Michael Andretti said he lost a golden opportunity at Elkhart Lake a week ago when Rahal went out of the race, and then he did the same. He hopes to make up for it today and catch Rahal in the points. Bobby Rahal in front at Mid-Ohio, as he so often is. Earlier in 1987, he won IROC on this course. He ran INSA on this course, and he's looking for 3 straight in this season and 3 straight IndyCar victories on what they call his home course. Almost impossible to beat is what they say, and Gary Lee has some information from the pit. A team down there pretty unhappy about the way the start went.
Yeah, Chris, the race is young, but there is some controversy. Vince Granatelli Racing is not happy that we aborted that first start. Your reasoning is?
Well, the True Value SDP March was on the pole position, and I feel that we should set the pace for the start of the race. When the light went green, we pulled ahead of Rahal, and first position was ours, and they yellow flagged it for a reason, because evidently we were too far ahead or something. That doesn't make any sense.
Do you have any recourse now?
Not at this particular point, and you have to wait until the race progresses, but no, there's not anything you can do about it at this particular point, except hopefully this wouldn't happen again. I guess in order for us to win this race, it has to be like Phoenix, where we have to have some sort of handicap to start out with.
So once again, that kind of amplifies what you were talking about with Tom Sneva earlier, that it's up to the pole men to set the pace and up to the rest of the field to keep pace.
Not only that, Tom Sneva, as Vince Granatelli echoed your earlier thought, it demonstrates the pressure on these top 4 teams in this points race. And it just doesn't take much of a trigger to set them off.
It really doesn't. You know, you can feel the uptightness in all the players, not only from the driver on down, but you start right with the car over. You know, he's upset about it. It's early. Roberto can win the race, you know, regardless of how that start went.
Bobby Rahal touring around very smoothly right now. The track he calls home, working leader lap number 7. He almost hooks into the turn. He's really on the attack, Tom.
Well, he really is. And coming up over that hill right there, you got to drag the left side tires in the dirt, and it's the fast way around. And it also makes it a little tough for the guys behind to run through that following dirt.
He's gained about a second in the last lap and a half on Roberto Guerrero on the racetrack. And here's Jeff Brabham touring along back in the pack right now. He is running in the 7th spot behind Rick Mears still. And there are 2 fellows that could form a breakthrough. Rick Mears is not a bad road course racer by any means. And Jeff Brabham coming into his own the last couple of events with 2 second straight finishes. One on the Super Speedway at Pocono, the other at Elkhart Lake. He is very capable, Tom Sneva.
Well, he is, and he's got that Honda motor. They developed that to a stage now where it's not only reliable, but it's producing some horsepower. So that's helping Jeff out quite a bit. It's interesting here. You can hear the motor work real hard, and it does work real hard here at a place like Mid-Ohio.
Meantime, we have reports from around the course that what was a dry situation not so long ago isn't. We have some mist once again on the race course. I don't know that it's yet affecting the surface, Tom, but we'll keep an eye on that. Actually, mist might be worse than rain when you consider just get a little glaze on there.
Well, sometimes that can be a problem, but it looks like we got mist on the racetrack as well as the pits from listening to Vince Granatelli talk. So we got mist everywhere, it looks like.
Ludwig Heimrath Jr. piloting the number 22 car of the Dick Simon team. Dick Simon prepared is slowing down, and he's making his way to the pits. So the first early pit stop of the race is his. Ludwig Heimrath learning IndyCar racing in 1987 and really having a tough go of it all the way through in terms of getting any kind of finishing position.
Yeah, they were looking forward to the race. They didn't get much practice time, but the car was quick when it was on the racetrack. They had it off the racetrack a few times, but you know, we got a problem now though.
The lead for Bobby Rahal as he goes into turn number 1 again is out to nearly 3 seconds over Roberto Guerrero. So he's getting about 3/4 of a second per lap on this race course that he knows so very well, Tom. And that's really an eternity if it continues to build like that. He could pull a Mario Andretti on this field, a Mario Andretti from Long Beach and Elkhart Lake, and just run away.
Well, he could. You know, he knows the racetrack real well. And not obviously, when you're leading the race, you're actually not working as hard as the guys that are chasing him. So he's just taking care of equipment. You notice he's not slipping any tires. And, you know, he's just conserving right now and still able to go away. And that's a good feeling from a driver's standpoint.
We were watching just a second ago. Danny Sullivan running in the 5th spot. Just ahead of him in the red car, the Hanna Auto Wash, is Mario Andretti. And here we pick up Sullivan again. Since they decided to go with the 86 March chassis and the Chevrolet engine, that combination, 5 races ago, 4 top 5 finishes for this young man, Danny Sullivan, who has yet to win in 1987 and would really like to get on the board.
Well, they would. You know, that's a strong team, and they work real hard at finishing up front and running up front. Danny's doing a good job, but Rick's been putting a lot of pressure on him here as of late, even on the road courses, which is surprising some people.
And we have our first official retirement from the race. With that is Larry Nuber in the pits.
Well, Chris, Ludwig Heimrath Jr. says that he wants to run all of the remaining Indianapolis car races. He certainly hopes that he can run more laps in the remaining races than this one. What put you out today, Ludwig?
I'm afraid we had an electrical problem. The engine just started cutting out real bad, and that was it. I'm afraid it's put us out.
Did you have any indication of it before it went out on you?
No, it just happened all of a sudden. The engine died a few times, and it's really kind of dangerous to be running around out there when your engine's losing power without any warning whatsoever. You know, you could have someone fast right behind you on the back straight. You know, it could be a real dangerous situation on a track that's as tight as this, and it got, after it did it the first time, it continued to do it more and more. It got progressively worse, so we figured we have to park it.
Unfortunately, you're the first race driver we've been able to talk to that's been out there. What are the track conditions? Are there slippery spots? Is it dry and wet intermittently, or is it pretty consistent?
No, it's dry everywhere. It's a little bit slippery still because probably because the track is cool and a little bit damp yet, but the track's perfect. I think in about another 5 or so laps. The times will be super fast. It's really going to be good.
Looks good right now, but rain tires standing by in everybody's pit.
No indication they're going to have to make that switch as Bobby Rahal moves into turn number 1, coming up on some back markers, and the lead over Roberto Guerrero extended out to 3.72. And again, Tom Sneva, he continues to gain ground as he tucks under the wing of Rick Miskiewicz. He's got back markers to contend with. That may, at least at the beginning of the shuffle, help Roberto for a moment.
Well, it will a little bit. You know, it's tough to find a place around, even if you're quite a bit quicker in the car. But Bobby's obviously running quick because they're already starting to lap the cars after just a few laps. So.
And Bobby Rahal with his right hand extended out of the cockpit, I think a little angry perhaps with Rick Miskiewicz back there, and now he's up on Tony Bentonhausen, who lets him through smoothly.
Well, it's tough to get out of the way even in a place like this. You know, the leaders obviously get frustrated when they feel like they're waiting. They're not going nearly as fast as they had been, so if they just get slowed down a little bit, it upsets them. But they've got to realize that it's a tight racetrack and it's just not that easy to get out of the way.
Later on your watcher, not Tom, but if you do, figure this out. If in fact Bobby Rahal is gaining a half to 3/4 of a second per lap, he plans to pit about lap 27. So figure out how big the gap would be and how fast the pit stop would have to be to keep Bobby in the lead.
Bobby Rahal is working on the front straightaway once again, and Roberto Guerrero trying to close down. Both of them have cleared the first set of back markers. Quick look into the mirrors you see from Rahal there. Nice controlled slide into that section. Tom Sneva, he's really in a rhythm, it appears.
Well, it's a rhythm, but you can see that he uses the speed bumps pretty well. You try to straighten those corners out as much as you can, so you're not all the time on all the smooth pavement. You run over the ripples a little bit, but you've got the car unloaded on that side when you run over those ripples, so it really doesn't hurt anything, and it makes it a fast way around.
Responding to Gary Lee's question, if the pace continues and the expansion of the lead for Rahal continues, he'd be ahead about 13 seconds at the first pit stop when that occurs. Rick Mears currently running in 6th position, the same place he started this event, and a few seconds behind teammate Danny Sullivan, and really locked in a bit of a battle with Jeff Brabham and Al Jr. Rick Mears, a very good road course driver. You see right behind him the number 15 machine, that of Jeff Brabham picking up some ground. There are only a couple of seconds between those 3 runners in what is a tooth and nail battle for the 6th position on the racetrack. There is Rick Mears, twice an Indianapolis 500 winner, and never a winner in IndyCars is Jeff Brabham, coming off 2 second-place finishes. And here is Jeff Brabham. We'll watch him try and reel in Mears on this very fast section of race course. And down into the break point they go. Very critical, Tom Seaver, right here. Maybe carry it deeper.
It really is. You know, you're actually standing up on the seat trying to get the car slowed down. You're on the brakes as hard as you possibly can be, and outbraking a guy getting into that corner is an important factor and a good place to pass.
I suppose I could ask you to analyze the action of Brabham. We can see his hands and a bit of his helmet there. Is there any indication from what you can observe, Tom? A man who's been in the cockpit so many times that he's fighting anything or any problem handling might be present.
No, it's hard to say from that shot. You know, you can see the vibration, and it blows you around a little bit, but you can see a little bit of a mist on the in-car camera shot there a minute ago. But other than that, it looks like he's quicker in some areas and not quite as quick in others, but he's gaining on Rick, and so his car might be working just a little bit better.
They both just ran by Johnny Rutherford, and into turn number 1 they go.
To address the handling situation in the number 15 Brabham machine, he was complaining over the weekend they simply could not get the chassis dialed in. You'll understand this, Tom. He said we really have to get back on the power in a hurry on this racetrack. And they're having trouble doing that because the chassis was not working properly. He said, I can't get back on the power. I can't get the power to the pavement. Perhaps you could better explain that, Tom.
Well, basically, what that means is you try to accelerate off the corner, you're going to get wheel spin. You just can't get the traction or the bite to the ground as you'd like it. The Honda engine should be just a little bit better than maybe the Cosworth or some of the other engines as far as getting the power down because of the torque curve and things like that. But I think it's inherent with the March chassis. I think that's why we got Bobby Rahal out front in the Lola. They seem to put the power down in the slower corners better. They get the horsepower to the ground better, and it gets them off the corner a little bit quicker. And so by the end of the straightaway, they're actually going just a little bit faster also. It's a problem that they're all fighting right now.
We had reports of mist around the race course. Don't know that it's affecting the race circuit yet. Let's go to Larry Nuber with a thought on that and some strategy.
Well, Chris, I'm standing by Carl Haas in the Mario Andretti pit as we watch Randy Lewis take a stop here, briefly out of the action. It is misting heavier, as heavy as it has all race long. But nobody is scurrying around yet. The rain tires, as I mentioned a few moments ago down in Ludwig Heimrath Jr.'s pit, they're all sitting around, but nobody's buzzing yet. So apparently the crews don't feel as though the rain is severe enough to consider bringing the drivers in. Now, they plan to go to lap 25 on their first pit stop. Now, consider this. If they go 25 laps, remembering the first lap was a very slow one, and if the second stop was, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, say 26. Now we're up to 51 laps. 26 more is 83. It's an 84-lap race.
The mind game continues all the time, and the calculations are done continually, not only from the cockpit and information passed along in terms of the revs, Tom, but when they put the fuel in after the first pit stop, then they've got a pretty good picture about what the rest of the race might hold for them.
Well, that's what happens. After the first stop, you know how many laps you went and how much fuel you used, so they have a lot better idea of exactly what to see as Bobby's trying to get around Pancho Carter there.
And also we have Jeff Brabham continuing to work on Rick Mears in this battle for 6th position. It's fallen off in terms of Al Unser Jr., and now he's tucked right back in there as they come off the carousel onto the front straightaway. Al Jr. has backed up just a little bit, and also coming up to join the fight, it looks like Kevin Cogan. But Jeff Brabham, the primary concern of Rick Mears right now, as they head toward a hard right-hander and then a hard left-hander into the keyhole section of the race course. It could very shortly be a 5-car battle for that position. That's the best racing on the course right now. Little Al looking for a breakthrough and a good finish in 1987, Tom, after a disappointing year, and it has been that.
It really has. You can see him getting the car sideways coming off the corner. Again, not getting the horsepower to the ground, but traffic seems to be maybe what's hurting Rick Mears as Brabham gets by going into the long back straightaway.
Tom, as long as we have an active driver in the booth, I'll address this question to you. It would seem to me that a very light mist, as we have right now, could actually be a benefit on the tires and actually keeping the tires a little cooler.
Well, yeah, there's no question they're going to keep it cooler, but it's not really a benefit because it's the same for everybody. If one of the cars was receiving a mist and the others weren't, they might have an advantage, but they're all in the same conditions, so they're going to speed up or slow down about the same amount. As Brabham here is starting to drive away a little bit from Rick Mears.
Bit of a mistake perhaps by Rick Mears at the end of the long straight, cost him that 6th position, and now he has to concern himself with Little Al And right behind them, the Team Patrick, Kevin COGAN, and Emerson Fittipaldi. This is a great 5-car battle for 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 on the race course as they move to the keyhole once again. A little more passing in action and wheel-to-wheel action than perhaps we expected, Tom, at least in that crack-up.
Well, yeah, these guys are having fun chasing each other around here. I don't know if it's a mistake by Rick or he just doesn't have the braking potential that Brabham had at that point, or maybe he wasn't quite as quick down the straightaway, and these guys are getting a little run on. So no big mistake, just Rick's probably conserving a little bit more than Brabham is right now.
And it looked like Little Al at least had a peek to the inside, just like Jeff Brabham had done in the previous lap, but this time it didn't work for Little Al. But I'm sure he saw that pass and perhaps took a lesson because Rick is entering that turn a little wide.
Well, he's wide and he might not be as quick down the straightaway, so it gives the guys a little bit of a run and a peek at him. We'll have to see what happens, but they're on Rick right now, and you know, Rick's got the mirrors filled as well as a little action in front of him.
This has become the battle for 7th place as far as Rick Mears is concerned. Jeff Brabham has moved up into 6th. They have quite a ways to go before they will close on Danny Sullivan and create a battle for the 5th position in this race. There you see it, Rick Mears, Little Al, Kevin COGAN, and then we had Emerson Fittipaldi and also Dale Coyne running back. He's been lapped. Into the keyhole they go once again. Rick Mears, twice the Indy champion, took a 3rd place, which is a surprise, I think, of many, a year ago at Elkhart Lake in what was nearly a downpour, the 2nd week that the tour went back to Elkhart Lake to get the event in, but it accentuated what a lot of people perhaps had chosen to overlook or perhaps ignore, Tom, and that is he's a good road course driver.
Well, he is. You know, his background was more the ovals and never had the reputation of being a great road racer, and sometimes those little hats are hard to get rid of. What people think you are and what you actually are, sometimes they're different cases.
Jeff Brabham is working in the 6th position on the race course. As you look over his right shoulder, touring away out onto the race course. Let's talk to Jeff Brabham.
Well, I think that you know, we've proved over the last 3 or 4 races that the Honda really is as good as anything out there, and I think, you know, a fuel management system that we run is a little bit more electronic, shall we say, than the Cosworth or even the Chevys are running right now, and that definitely helps in the fuel mileage situation. Also, pick up out of the corners is fairly good, so on a tight track like this, I think the engine should be as good as anything out there.
Jeff Brabham discussing, as you were a moment ago, Tom Sneva, the merits of the Honda engine, which he feels has proven itself in spite of the fact it hasn't won a race.
Well, that's true. A lot of the top teams are looking at that Honda engine to run for next year. Rumor has it that Rahal group is probably looking at it. Here's Bobby now with the standard Cosworth, and maybe we'll see that Budweiser car with the Honda motor in it next year.
Lots of combinations being talked about for 1988. Bobby Rahal has led, as you see there, 19 of the 20 laps, but his lead over Roberto Guerrero, it was growing earlier by a half to 3/4 of a second per lap, has now been diminishing to a degree. It got down to a 1.5 seconds just a moment ago, and now is back up to 2.55 as they enter leader lap number 22. There is Guerrero. He was for a moment reeling Rahal in, and now is sliding back just a little bit. At least in the last tour of the circuit, he did fall back.
Well, most of that is probably traffic conditions. Rahal obviously realizing his car is working well, doesn't have to take the same amount of chances and same degree of chances as some of the back markers. Here he's getting by again, the slower cars. And these aren't slow cars he's getting by. These are cars, LUYENDYK qualified 10th or 11th in the field, so Bobby's obviously got that thing hooked up.
Running very, very well is the race leader, Bobby Rahal. He usually does it at Mid-Ohio. As we have said so often already, he is very, very difficult to beat at the place he calls home. Bobby Rahal continues to lead at Mid-Ohio. He is moving around on the race course. working leader lap number 24, and he has built up nearly a 5-second lead over Roberto Guerrero. It had been down to a second and a half about 3 laps ago. As you say, Tom, he has got it hooked up, and he is really strong right now.
Well, it's fun to race this way, too. You can be conservative. You don't have to use everything up. You can go easy on the brakes. You don't have to run the motor real hard. You get better fuel mileage. It's just, it's the kind of race car that you like to be driving.
He's at the keyhole. Is Bobby Rahal, now working leader lap 25 and near the first pit stop. We'll wait for the next car to come through. That is Roberto Guerrero, 5.26 seconds behind a moment ago. And third place belongs to Michael Andretti, who is closing a little bit down on Roberto Guerrero and has been for the last few moments. He said he missed a golden opportunity at the Elkhart Lake race in terms of Rahal going out with a turbo problem early. And Michael said he might have considered stroking it a little bit for points had he known that. But he wound up going out of the race as well, and neither one of them scored. And he's really got to be better than Bobby Rahal at this one if he's going to close any ground, because he is faced with a situation in which time is running out in terms of the season and the championship.
Well, that's true. He was overly concerned, I felt, after qualifying. He got blocked on his last lap. He felt that the lap probably would have been good enough to put him in the pole position. And he felt psychologically to beat Bobby Rahal at his own racetrack and set in the pole, out-qualify him would be a big psychological advantage. He didn't get that. He seemed a bit more concerned about that than I thought he should have been. But you know, he's running a smart race right now and just pacing himself.
Pacing himself very nicely as he sweeps into the keyhole section of the race course. And we have him trying to close down, and he's got Johnny Rutherford in front of him between he and Guerrero right now. Meantime, back in the pack, we have Pancho Carter in the number 29 Hardee's machine. Take a look at some of his action. He's fought the race course all weekend long. Never did really get happy with his setup, Tom.
No, he didn't, and it's tough. You know, a lot of the guys, if you're qualifying midfield to back, aren't as happy as they want to be, but they keep working at it. You keep making changes and hope you find something. Here he's getting by Randy Lewis, getting into a fast left-hander on the racetrack. He got by no problem, and away he goes.
Pancho Carter, who comes out of short track racing and is very adept at that, is holding his own at least on the road course, but not his favorite place to be by any means.
Well, again, one that's not recognized to be a great road racer, but doing well.
Bobby Rahal continuing up front. We'll expect the first round of pit stops to begin fairly shortly, and we'll look at Rahal as he comes off, and he is moving into the pits right now. So the round is underway, and Gary Lee will be standing by in the pits as Bobby Rahal pulls up.
Bobby slides into position actually about a lap early. They had scheduled 27, about lap 26. It will be a 4-tire change as Jim Prescott, the crew chief, team manager Steve Horn, and the Budweiser Sport team go to work on the Lola of Bobby Rahal. Again, very difficult to beat both the team or the driver here at Mid-Ohio. He has a little trouble engaging the clutch, getting it in gear, but he is away.
Meantime, at the other end of the pits, we have Danny Sullivan in, and there coming out is Bobby Rahal as the Rick Mears machine comes right on by him. Sweeping into the lead for the moment is Roberto Guerrero, but he's faced, of course, with the pit stop, and the round is underway. And Al Unser Jr. is as well on pit road. There he is coming to a stop. The hoses are employed, and the work commences with the Domino's Pizza Team Shearson team. Get a watch on this. Al Unser Jr. was running in the 10th position when he pulled into the pits, and we'll wait for the shuffle and reset the field, but he is down and away, and that looks pretty good, Tom Stephen.
Well, that was. He got it into gear a little bit quicker. And out of the pits a lot faster, I think, than Rahal was. If you notice Rahal's stop, no perspiration, no big problem there.
And Roberto Guerrero now moves into the pits, and he comes in front of the Vince Granatelli-led team. Up on the jacks they go, and Gary Lee's there.
Well, once again, it's a 4-tire change. Now, let's see if they can complete the work, and if Guerrero can keep it revved up and then get it in gear and get it out of the pit area faster than what Bobby Rahal did. We're standing in the way of the trajectory. That was the water bottle that he heaved over here. A very quick stop, and yes, spins the tires, lights them up, and he is underway. A very good stop for Guerrero.
Out he comes, and Bobby Rahal is on the front straightaway. Can Guerrero beat him out? There's Rahal flashing into the top of your picture and away. Roberto Guerrero may have gained the position in the pits, and it looks like he did, Tom. He's about got it up to speed.
Well, it was a great stop, and it got the position back. They lost at the very start of the race, so Vince Granatelli ought to be a little more happy right now.
You think they maybe had a pep talk over there about the first pit stop after that, what they considered misfortune or injustice?
Well, you see Bobby making a run on him now. Roberto's taking up a little bit of the racetrack. Now he got Rahal's attention, but under braking, Bobby's going by.
And he's getting him on the inside into turn number 7 at the end of the long straightaway. So Rahal recovers. He had the momentum away back on the front straightaway as Guerrero. Of course, he's on a little bit colder tires, and that may have been the telling thing through the twisty part.
That could have been it. Bobby had a run on him, but Roberto shut the door a little bit, took some of that momentum away, but Bobby outbroke him at the end of that straightaway.
Michael Andretti, meantime, is in the pits. Larry Nuber's on it.
Well, there's lots of activity down in the Andretti area. There you see Barry Green and the Craco crew going to work on Michael Andretti. They're changing 4 tires at the same time. Simultaneously, his father Mario is also getting service. They're putting rubber on all 4 sides of the House car. We've had a crash here in the pits. Exiting the pit area, Jeff Brabham and Michael Andretti come together. Jeff is up against the inside wall of the front stretch. Jeff did not make hard contact. He either just barely brushed Michael or he took evasive action and got into the loose dust. Now he pulls away, but Jeff Brabham in a very close call, as well as a close call for Michael Andretti. But again, both Andretti's in and out, apparently without any incident. But check that Michael Andretti car.
Relatively narrow is that pit road, Tom Steve. I'm not sure they made contact. Let's take a look and try and figure out if they did indeed come together. Here comes Jeff Brabham into the pit. There's Michael exiting right in front of him. Michael is at the mercy of the right front man in terms of the guy on the tires. He pulls out on that signal. Brabham sees it, locks it up, and moves to the outside. I don't think the tires touch, and it looks like, Tom, he avoided that pit retaining wall.
Well, he did. He got lucky there. I think Michael took off and maybe took more of the pit lane up than he needed to. He didn't keep it quite tight enough coming out of his pit. But Jeff needs to be looking for that as it comes up, because the pits are tight, and you got to use your head and be careful. Fortunately, no damage to either car.
Very fortunately, that can be a dicey situation in there. A little bit of a wiggle there you can see for the Jeff Brabham car. I don't know if he bent anything, Tom, and perhaps he's checking to see right now if he did. Meantime, on the front straightaway, Bobby Rahal is moving into turn number 1, and the scoreboard has Michael Andretti in front of Bobby Rahal, Roberto Guerrero in third, and there you see it on the racetrack, reflected what the scoreboard said. Michael Andretti in a hurry to get out of there. A very, very close call, but once again, someone takes it away from Rahal in the pits.
Yeah, that didn't happen that often. It wasn't the crew's fault. It was actually Bobby getting it back in gear. Here we see Ammo trying to get out of the pits, and he's in and out, but stretching the pit stop a little bit longer.
He does his on the 29th lap, and Emerson Fittipaldi getting good gas mileage, listed 5th currently as he gets back up to speed. Aaron Luyendyk whips around him off turn number 1 as he builds it back up. Meantime, the fight up front is between Michael Andretti and Bobby Rahal, with Roberto Guerrero shadowing the two. There is Michael over the jump. Sliding in behind him is Bobby Rahal, trying to regain the lead for the 2nd time in the last couple of laps. Roberto Guerrero got a sensational pit stop and came out first. Rahal took him almost immediately and got back in front. Then Michael Andretti got a sensational pit stop once again, and he is in front and appearing as though he might be able to hold Rahal off as he gets the heat into the tires and gets everything race ready again. Into turn 1, Bobby Rahal, an unusual situation for him lately, following someone on this race course. But Michael pulls away from him there. He had a little bit of extra horsepower off turn 1, it looked like, Tom.
Well, yeah, you know, Michael is obviously working very well, and it's going to put a little pressure on Bobby here. Now Bobby's chasing a little bit.
Kevin Cogan in for his requisite pit stop. It comes later than even teammate Emerson Fittipaldi. Excellent fuel mileage for that machine. They wait for the signal. They got the tires on. The fuel is still going in. There goes the air, and down he goes. Meantime, Rahal down at the S's goes to the inside of Michael Andretti, and he's back in front once again. He's driving a demon race.
Oh, he is, you know, and the Lola gets down the straightaway so much quicker, I think, than the March. It gives him a little run into that braking zone, and Bobby did a good job getting up.
We have had more action up front in this race already than the last 2 years combined, Tom Sneva. This is great racing.
Well, it just shows you the kind of competition they have in IndyCar racing today. It's so much more competitive now than it has been in the past, and it makes all the teams work that much harder.
Rahal coming up on the front straightaway, and in the pits is Al Unser Jr. having some trouble. Gary Lee's there.
Well, Al came in for his routine pit stop, went back out, took a lap, came back in. They pulled the rear bonnet off the engine. They went to work, they put the bonnet back on, fired the car up, and he took off. Took another lap, and now he's back in. So we're not really sure at this point. Obviously, we can't get over to talk to Dennis Swan to ask Dennis, the team manager, what the problem could be, but they're working in the engine compartment.
Never good when they go in under the bonnet, Tom Sneva.
No, it isn't. It takes so long to get the body work on and off of these race cars because they're so aerodynamically, they fit so tight that when you take the top off, you're going to lose laps in the pits.
Meantime, Rahal moves through Pancho Carter. There you see Michael Andretti going around Pancho from the INDYCAR Chamber. And first and second place pulling away from Pancho Carter right now into the S's. Pancho Carter trying to pull him in, but he's not going to. Not on this day, it doesn't appear. And Bobby Rahal slides through once again. Turn number 11 and 12. Again, the rhythm coming back. Does the rhythm go away that much during a pit stop?
The only reason the rhythm goes away is because when you first come back in the racetrack, you got fresh tires, and they get a lot different bite on the racetrack until they get some temperature in them than when you came off the racetrack. So a lot of times the steering will feel real heavy. You think you might have some kind of a mechanical problem, but it's just because the tires get so much more grip when they're cold than they were when you after 30, 35 laps on the racetrack. So you got to be careful coming out of the pits on fresh tires.
Let's go back pit side. Gary Lee standing by with more on Little Al.
The work continues on the Domino Pizza Hotline number 30. We had a chance to yell at the pit wall to Dennis Swanson. What's the problem? He looked back, smiles at electrics. Now, of course, Tom Sneva, that can mean the spark box, the ignition, wiring, spark plugs. There's still a set of screwing about here as they get ready to put the bonnet back on. They're not really sure they have the problem, although they are changing the spark box over in the right side pod.
Well, that's it's a problem that all the teams run into. The electronic components in these race cars take a real beating because of the vibration, the speed, and the way the drivers have to hustle the cars around. Electronics have been a big problem. They're expensive. We tend to get more electronics in the cars every year, and it becomes more expensive. And a lot of people are under the impression that maybe we don't need all the fancy stuff. It just ups the cost and causes more trouble, and that's what we're seeing here today.
Perhaps 23rd position at Elkhart Lake a week ago, and a blown turbo that cost him any points in the event lit a fire under Bobby Rahal, but he's got it his way at Mid-Ohio. Welcome to you all watching the Southern 500 from Darlington. It is true, Bobby Rahal is still in front of the Escort Radar Warning 200. We've had 5 lead changes among 3 drivers. During the first round of pit stops, Bobby Rahal lost the lead twice, once to Roberto Guerrero and then to Michael Andretti. But he was able to repass those gentlemen and get back in front. We did have a difficult situation on the pit road during that first round of pit stops. Jeff Brabham was approaching his pit, and you'll see coming out of the left side of the pit area there, Michael Andretti exiting. He's completed his pit stop. Brabham can't get to his pit, nowhere to go, locks him up and slides toward the outside wall. Fortunately for both men, no contact either between the cars or the wall, and you see the pit worker there out on the wall working with his team in jeopardy. And this is Jeff Brabham. He was able to complete the pit stop and is back in competition, running currently in the 9th spot on the race course. The leader, Bobby Rahal, is nearly 3 seconds in front of Michael Andretti, with Roberto Guerrero running third, almost 9 seconds behind at this point. Bobby Rahal looking for another chapter in the kart history book. He is only one of 2 drivers who has won 3 consecutive times in a single event. He did it at Laguna Seca. Tom Sneva did it at Milwaukee, and Rahal could do it here at Mid-Ohio. Michael Andretti running in second. There is Rahal as he works out on the back side of the race course under the Budweiser Bridge, negotiating the last 3 turns before the front straightaway in his lap number 40. And here comes Michael Andretti. The top 2 men in the 1987 points are they, with Rahal 14 in front of Michael. Andretti needs, of course, to do better than Rahal to gain some ground, with time running out on the year and the championship still an issue of debate. First place, Bobby Rahal. The fastest turn on the course right there is his. Now some back markers face him. He has 129 points, as we just mentioned, 14 in front of Michael, and he's right up behind Rick Miskiewicz in the off-camber keyhole section of the race course. Takes it to the outside, puts the throttle down, and he'll swing through him very easily. And Michael Andretti right there, over 4 seconds behind. So losing ground, Tom Sneva, is Michael Andretti, and it's been a steady procession backward for him the last few laps.
Well, it really has. The Lola seems to be getting the power down a little bit better off the short corners. He's able to get the horsepower attached to the ground better, which gets him off the corner and down the straightaways faster. So the Lola seems to be working a little bit better than the March right now, and it makes Bobby's day just a little bit easier than it is for some of the others.
Good solid rhythm for Ray Hall throughout the event. He calls this track home, and he's probably the most experienced among any runner in any series in the world on this course as he comes to the front straightaway. So Ray Hall in control at Mid-Ohio. Michael Andretti, Roberto Guerrero, Danny Sullivan all giving chase. For those watching the Southern 500, let's go back to Jackaroo. Bobby Rahal continues to walk the point at Mid-Ohio. We're half distance through the event, and he has a lead of 3.61 seconds over second place Michael Andretti, the man chasing him on the racetrack this day, and the man chasing him in the points for 1987. Meantime, the disappointing season for Al Unser Jr. continues with a retirement. Let's go to Gary Lee with those details.
Indeed, it has been a frustrating weekend for Al Jr. We're back in the garage area. Al never got out of the race car. He actually drove the race car back, drove it into the garage. They closed the door behind. There is now a conference going on with Dennis Swan, the remainder of the crew. Al Unser Jr. still standing in there with the helmet on. I talked to Dennis. He said it's ignition. We couldn't get it fixed. We're in everybody's way, so we're going to park it. We're hopefully standing by, and we'll have Al come out momentarily and give us his assessment of what happened to the hot one.
Just a couple of years ago, Tom Sneva, Al Unser Jr. missed the championship by a point, and certainly in 1987, not so much in 1986. It's been a backward procession. Just racing luck has not been his, and that's a tough period to go through. Everybody faces it, but it's no fun.
It is no fun, and it's hard to explain sometimes, because a lot of times it's because you change teams or something like that will cause one year to be worse than another. But he's basically with the same team that have been together for 2 or 3 years now. They should be stronger. They were in the championship point hunt a year or so ago, and this year, no luck going their way. It's hard to explain. It's hard from a driver's standpoint to tell other people or explain that situation to other people why some days just aren't as good as others.
Meantime, Michael Andretti continues to try and reel in Bobby Rahal as he just clears Jose Legarza in the number 55 machine, a back marker there, and under the Budweiser bridge. The gap between Rahal and Andretti seesaws each trip around depending on the traffic they encounter. It might get down to 2.5 seconds, then back up to 3.9 and down a little bit and back up a little bit. The bottom line of it is that Rahal right now is not apparently in any jeopardy from either Michael Andretti nor this man, Roberto Guerrero, running in third, Thomas.
No, it doesn't look like it. You look at Roberto's head. It's cocked from side to side. Sometimes that means a little bit of fatigue on the driver's part when the head floats around. But, it's still early enough, and it's not that hot outside, so fatigue shouldn't be a problem that would slow anybody down here.
Meantime, back to the garage area. Let's go to Gary Lee with the disappointed young man.
Well, first, let me say there are a lot of drivers that once they're in the garage and the door is closed, they're not going to come back out. Word went in that we wanted to talk to Al, and here he is. We appreciate you coming back out. From the driver's perspective, what happened?
Well, the thing, we had a fuel pickup problem, and so that's why I had a couple problems right there at first when Kevin and well, the Marlboro cars, when they passed me, I had a fuel pickup problem, so I came in, got some fuel, went back out, and then I guess something in the electronic injection system broke to where it wouldn't allow the turbo to get any boost, and then once you went wide open, the engine would start missing. So it would only run normally aspirated and then only park throttle.
We talked about what Dennis had said earlier in a bit of sportsmanship. He said, hey, we can't fix it. We're in everybody's way. We're going to park it and call it a day. Obviously, a deal of sportsmanship, because you could have stayed out there.
Well, no, not really, because it only run part throttle, and we would have been lapped as many times as it would be if we were sitting in the garage. So it was good that we pulled it in the garage, and what was sad was that we couldn't fix it. You know, the guys, they tried and they did a super job, and it just didn't work what we tried fixing.
They struggled to a third last week at Elkhart Lake. We talked about how difficult that third place drive was in Victory Lane, and now the frustrations continue.
Well, you know, it's just one of those things. The Domino's Pizza Team Shearson is a great race team, and there's nothing wrong with them. They just, we've been going through some bad luck here, and one of these days we'll get some luck on our side.
Well, again, we appreciate you coming back out.
Thanks.
The face tells the story, certainly the disappointment there for Al Unser Jr. This man making a run at his second straight championship. If he can accomplish that through the remainder of this event and 3 more in 1987, he will be the first to have back-to-back championships since Rick Mears in 1981 and 1982. Tom Sneva, you know the thrill of a championship. You've done it twice yourself. What does it mean in the long pull for a driver? Is it the final exclamation point on a career saying, yes, at least for that period of time, I was the best?
Well, you know, it's a good feeling, not only for you, but for the team that you work with. It's a lot more than one race. You know, Indianapolis may be more recognizable than a national championship, but in the driver's mind and the team's mind, it's so important to be able to put together a full season and not just one race. So there's a lot of pride involved in that, and you know, us being a two-time national championship, I know what Bobby's looking at, and he's having a pretty easy time of it right now.
He's pushed his lead over Michael Andretti out to 6.8 seconds, and we take a look at the driving style into the turns. He really hasn't backed off any, it doesn't appear. From the earlier laps, he was attacking those corners out there on the S's and really flying over the jump right there into that turn very hard. And there's no give in Bobby Rahal. He drives every lap the same if he possibly can.
Well, he's a very smooth race driver. And you notice that that car he's driving is not slipping and sliding as it comes off the corner like both the marches of Roberto Guerrero and Michael Andretti is doing. So the car is just hooked to the racetrack, and it makes it easy for the driver.
And to the observer's eye, you wouldn't see anything particularly wrong with that man's car. In fact, Michael Andretti had said he thought he had the best car working for him ever at Mid-Ohio and perhaps in the whole field, but he can't gain any ground. In fact, that last trip around, the lead for Bobby Rahal went from 6.7 to 9.2 seconds. He's just running away at the moment as we come up toward the second round of pit stops. Michael Andretti working his way into the keyhole. He's very smooth and accomplished, and of course he comes from the Super V's and a lot of road course experience, so running up front for him would be no particular surprise. He started doing it right away in Indy cars once he made the transition, and there's Rahal down at the end of the straight into the S's, and again very smooth through there. He really does use that little bit of dirt on the inside to help him through the turn.
You wouldn't think that'd mean much, but the way that track presses that hill, you got to hang those tires off into the dirt. You're just so much quicker, and it's so much easier to get down the hill on the other side. If you do that, you almost are forced to do it.
Meantime, as we approach the second round of pit stops, let's go for some strategy analysis. First to Gary Lee.
As we recapitulate just a bit, Bobby Rahal stopped on lap 26. Now, we talked to Steve Horn. He said we're going to stop on lap 55, which means he would get 29 laps on that second load of fuel, which means if he can go to lap 55, he would have to go another 29 laps to lap 84 for the finish. I said, are you going to stretch it just a little thin if you go to lap 55 and have actually 2 runs on 29 laps? He said, no, our fuel consumption is just fine. Obviously, they know what they're doing here with the brain trust in the pit area, and Bobby knows this track as well as anybody. Let's go on down now the pit area and check on the Penske strategy. Here's Larry.
A little different, Gary. They took on no tires. 2 cars, 8 attempts or 8 opportunities to change tires. Not a one was changed. Ask Roger Penske why. Don't need new tires. So we go on. Let's talk about fuel strategy. They stop on lap 27. Now you multiply 27 times 3 and you don't get that magic number of 84, the distance of this race. But what they are saying is that Danny Sullivan, who had only a wing adjustment on his first stop, both Danny and Rick Mears can go as much as 29 laps on this second stop. Now if they can do 27 plus 29, they should be able to go the distance. But the surprising part of both their pit stops, not a piece of rubber was changed.
Fuel always a concern in IndyCar racing, Tom, with the ration based on 1.8. even if the ration is more than adequate for the distance of the race, fuel strategy plays a major part of the whole story.
It really does. You know, if you have the luxury of being able to stretch the segment another lap or two, it really gives you a lot more opportunities and variables and ways to attack the race at that point. Sullivan, again, not changing tires as was indicated. It's a little bit of a surprise. The first pit stop is usually the quickest because you got a lot of fuel in the tank. So you can usually change tires in a shorter amount of time than it takes to put the fuel in the car. So I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't change tires, and I don't think it's going to be a benefit to them.
Danny Sullivan running in 4th position, trying to reel them in, and Bobby Rahal still walks the point. Bobby Rahal trying to put a lap on Jeff Brabham as they work out on the race course. This is leader lap 52 for that man right there, Bobby Rahal. At the halfway point of the race, he was also the leader. After the first round of pit stops, he gave up the lead a couple of times. Let's take a look at the Napa mid-race recap. There it is. The leader at 30 has led 37 laps, and Bobby Rahal at the mid-race point was 3.61 seconds in front of Michael Andretti. That has been extended considerably. Cars now on the lead lap are 9. The leaders were 3. The changes had been 5. 2 of those predicated by quick pit stops by Michael Andretti and Roberto Guerrero, but Bobby Rahal was able to chase them down and get back in front. 22 of the 26 starters at the halfway point still in competition. Out of the race, Ludwig Heimrath early, Fabrizio Barbassa spun off, Tony Bettenhausen with mechanical difficulties, and Al Unser Jr. we heard with the ignition problem and fuel pickup problem combination. And Bobby Rahal continues to tour along in front, continuing to extend his lead more and more, now drawing a bead on Kevin COGAN as he tries to put him a lap down out on the race course. They are touring on the backside of the course right now onto the straightaway. This is 3,000 feet of pure acceleration, and 180 miles an hour or so is what the top end is. And right now, Kevin COGAN holding off Rahal at that point. The break point coming now, and with the traffic of Arie Luyendyk there, Rahal has nowhere to go, Tom, so he tucks it in prudently, and he'll wait a moment. He will wait. He'll probably wait almost to the next lap now, because Rahal seems to have tremendous brakes on that Lola race car right now. 11.58 seconds ahead of Michael Andretti, working at leader lap number 53. Rahal filling up the mirrors of Kevin COGAN right now as they come up toward the Budweiser Bridge. And you saw the yellow of Rick Mears just in front of Kevin COGAN there. So Bobby Rahal putting more and more a lap down before we get to the second round of pit stops. We expect that to begin in about 3 laps if all the information we had from the pits holds up and the strategists don't change their mind. On the straightaway they come. Rahal takes a peek down to the inside into turn number 1, and again the door closes. Kevin COGAN holds him off at least for a moment. Fairly quick portion of the course there with high exit speed off turn number 1 and into the S's and the keyhole. Nowhere to pass over here, Tom. That's a waiting game in there. It really is. You just follow the leader here, but you know, getting off this corner right here onto the back straightaway is very critical. And Bobby should be able to get a run on Kevin here. Kevin actually points to him and is going to let him go on by, which is you know, a good gesture on Kevin's part. And there's that superior braking you talked about, Tom Sneva. He just carried it in deeper on the inside of the race course, right through COGAN. He sweeps, and another one is a lap down. That leaves us with 7 on the lead lap by my count. Just terrific performance by the Lola in that part of the race course. He's made a lot of ground there and passed a whole bunch of folks. It really has. It just takes a little bit in a couple spots to give you some kind of advantage. But it's amazing. You know, we've got Mario running about 5th right now. Dominated last week's race at Elkhart Lake, but this weekend he didn't get the car set up right. We talk about the setup all the time, but trying to get that car to handle in all the various different kinds of corners that are around the racetrack is very, very tough. Rahal being his home track and having a lot of miles here, it was a little easier for him to get set up than it was for
Mario and some of the rest today.
And there he goes through Emerson Fittipaldi as he comes off turn one into the S's in the keyhole. Bobby Rahal has great local knowledge about this course, and we asked him to analyze what is the toughest part of this race course.
I would say from the back straight on, you know, the end of the back straight to maybe where you come up to the last corner here. A lot of time there and to get the car to work. If you got the car working beautifully, that's a lot of fun. If it's not handling, it's a real pain.
Bobby Rahal is in that part of the course he calls the toughest, from the end of the back straight through the S's, up over the hill and back to the Budweiser Bridge, and finally the carousel. A lot of activity, very busy in there, a lot of gear shifting, and we'll wait and see if Bobby Rahal is ready to move to the pits for his second and perhaps last pit stop of the event as he turns it through, coming up to the carousel. He'll swing it out wide and decelerate about now if he's going to come into the pits. Here he is, and he swings, makes the left-hand turn, and he is on pit road. Here comes the race leader for his second pit stop of this event and this afternoon. He is pulling up in front of Steve Horn and his people, and Gary Lee has it.
He is right on the money, right on schedule. They will change all 4 tires, top off the fuel. Now remember, he didn't get back on the throttle and get out as quickly as perhaps Guerrero did the last time. Let's see if it's faster this time. The tires have changed. They're topping off to 40 gallons of fuel, and he is underway again. Having a little trouble engaging it, but now he lights up the tires and he's underway.
And there's a demonstration of what you were talking about a moment ago, Tom Sneva, in terms of the Penske people. Those tires were on in 9.2 seconds. The fuel was finished at 15.6, and he was away.
Yeah, easy for him to get out and get the tires changed.
And in the Sullivan pit, Danny a little hot off the carousel, and he slid into his pits, but got it stopped pretty close to the mark, and they are going for tires this time. It's up in the air, and Larry Nuber's there.
Chuck Sprague and crew, they have completed their work already. It was a very rapid-fire pit stop for Danny Sullivan. And as we told you earlier, as expected, a 4-tire change this time and a complete new load of 30 gallons of the methanol alcohol. Danny Sullivan in and out in very good fashion. We didn't have a clock on it down here, gentlemen, but it looked like an extremely efficient pit stop.
After he came sliding in, the crew went to work and rescued the situation. Really, Danny Sullivan rescued it by getting it stopped on the proper mark, and he was really hot.
Well, he was hot, but he also had the first pit that you come to as you enter the pit, so he's got to deaccelerate in a hurry. And here's Fittipaldi in the pits.
7th place he was when he came to the pits. He's getting the service now, and Roberto Guerrero is in. He's already got his tires, and the fuel hose still engaged. Gary Lee.
Well, he has the tires. They're not changing the tires. Obviously, he's happy with the tire wear, the setup. They're topping off the fuel, burping and wrapping the throttle, and he is underway. A very, very fine stop for Guerrero.
Twice in this event, the Roberto Guerrero crew has given him sensational service, Tom Sneva, and that can win a lot of races for you. Perhaps not today, but it'll save places also.
Well, it will, but I was surprised to see him not take tires on because the Penske team, I think, lost ground in that second segment by not taking tires on. I don't think the car was quite as quick as it was the first segment. They tried to stretch it too long, and now Guerrero's in the same fold.
Pancho Carter, you see from the camera aboard his race machine, he has a front wing problem. We've been told that perhaps a black flag is coming for him. There you see it. It's almost off the strut, Tom Sneva. He's bumped something, and away it came. There's just a little screw that holds that on. It may have just come loose and be threatening to fall right off the car. Larry Nuber has the pit stop.
Well, Rick Mears has completed the pit stop. Rick Mears pulls out in the Pennzoil number 8 March Chevrolet powered car. Remember, this is a 1986 chassis. Rick was supposed to come in on lap 56. Guess what? It's lap 56. So 27 and 56 are the 2 laps that Rick Mears has pulled off. That means apparently he has the ability to go 29 laps, and that should be enough. You know, a couple weeks ago, we visited the Winston Cup stock car circuit. Rusty Wallace had a car that they called Samson because it has survived so many adversities and it keeps rolling along. My vote for Samson in the kart circuit is this car that Rick Mears is in. You guys mentioned earlier that this is the car that Al won the 500 in. Mario Andretti, meanwhile, one of the top 5 cars most of today, is now in for his routine pit stop, also on schedule.
Up in the air it is as Mario Andretti came in running in the 4th position. Michael Andretti is still on the race course and now is in the lead. He will be the last of the group to pit. Perhaps, Tom Sneva, that could be a big advantage when they get down to those last couple of laps. Good service for Mario Andretti. He's back into the competition, and we await the arrival of Michael Andretti, who should be into the pits very shortly. The scoreboard shows him 24 seconds ahead of Bobby Rahal, but of course Rahal has pitted, and Michael Andretti now is on pit road, and he pulls up in front of the Craco crew. They go to work on the machine. It is up in the air. They take a look at the tires, and they're going for 3, it would appear. The left front and the 2 rear tires. The right front they're leaving alone. Larry Nuber is there now.
A longer pit stop than most of the other front runners that we have seen, but apparently routine at this point. As you can see them going to work on Michael's car. Michael breaking loose from Weber as he pulls away, but everybody drag strips out. But the crew is applauding. Apparently they had a little bit of extra work to do, to perhaps put them at a deficit for the remainder of the race. But Michael Andretti, he is in and out. And by the way, Tom and Chris, all the front runners now have stretched this second pit stop by my calculations. At the other end of the pit, maybe Gary can check on people like Guerrero and Bobby Rahal. But all the front runners down here near the final turn of this course have stretched the second pit stop long enough they can now go the distance on the load of fuel they now have. That is assuming nothing goes wrong.
That would appear to be the case as they did stretch it out. And Michael Andretti, a little tardy getting out of the pit, saw Bobby Rahal swing by him on the front straightaway and back into the lead. And you see there Roberto Guerrero also coming up the straightaway as Michael got to the exit point, was able to get through. And Tom Sneva, Andretti really at the deficit at the moment because he has to warm up his tires and get back into the competition. But right now Guerrero has gone into the second spot ahead of Michael Andretti, and Bobby Rahal is back in front where he has been through most of this event. Rahal looking for his 3rd straight victory at Mid-Ohio in this year and in IndyCars. Welcome to everyone who's been watching the Southern 500 from Darlington. We now have 20 laps to go in this event at Mid-Ohio, and Bobby Rahal, having concluded his 2nd round of pit stops along with the rest of them, is still out in front by a margin of 10.79 seconds over now 2nd place Roberto Guerrero. Michael Andretti, who is valiantly trying to gain some ground on the racetrack on Bobby Rahal as well as in the points chase for 1987, is running in 3rd, followed by Mario Andretti and Danny Sullivan. But Rahal has had his race all day long, going almost flawlessly. In the first round of pit stops, he lost the lead a couple of times by better pit stops from Michael Andretti and Guerrero. And there you see Rahal coming by, and then back to Roberto Guerrero, just getting into the S's on the backside of this Mid-Ohio racing layout as Rahal exits it. It's almost 11 seconds between those 2 cars. Roberto Guerrero would like to get his 2nd win of the season, but Bobby Rahal is having none of it from anyone today. Tom Sneva, he is right on the mark.
Well, he has been. You know, he's been awfully quick all day. He doesn't have to slip or slide the car. He doesn't use it all up. And the guys running 2nd and 3rd, Guerrero and Andretti, Michael, are working real hard to try to keep the gap somewhat reduced.
But not having much luck at it. There is Michael Andretti running in the 3rd position as he comes on to the front straightaway to complete his 65th lap of 84 in the event. Further down the field, Mario, then Danny Sullivan and Rick Mears, Kevin COGAN, and Emerson Fittipaldi. Those are the challengers in the event. But Tom Sneva, Bobby Rahal has really made ground on this straightaway, and we've had a spin out on the race course. It would appear to be the car of Mario Andretti. Indeed, it is. Stopped on the racing pavement, and the workers out there quickly to get him off the course. But our 4th place runner, Mario Andretti, finding difficulty again. He was thinking championship coming to Mid-Ohio. That may squash it.
Yeah, that's uncharacteristic of Mario. I'm not sure what happened. Looks like there's a little damage to the nose, but he doesn't look like he's got the motor fired, so it looks like it's going to be a shortened day for Mario.
That'll move Danny Sullivan up into the 4th position, but the question is, are we going to have anybody really challenge Bobby Rahal from here to the end? No more scheduled pit stops, and Rahal has not put a foot wrong all day long. Doesn't appear that he's going to, as he puts lap number 66. 18 to go. Rahal firmly in control of this event. There you see Rick Mears back there running in 5th and now better than a lap behind.
That just shows you what kind of dominance Bobby's got at this racetrack. Very smooth, and I think one of the big advantages he's had is in the braking department. Most people don't think the brakes are important in a race car, but on a road course, especially one like Mid-Ohio, braking is very critical, and the Lola and Bobby's car seems to be out-braking everybody at this point.
Bobby Rahal in control, less than 18 laps to go to the conclusion of the event. Roberto Guerrero second, then Michael Andretti and Danny Sullivan. For those going back to the Southern 500, let's go back to Jack Arute. Pancho Carter at the end of the straightaway where they reach 180 miles an hour. Through him on the inside, Jose Legarza. Pancho Carter fighting it a little bit out there as we look over his shoulder on our race cam aboard that racing machinery. A little while ago, he got a black flag. His left front wing was loose. Tom Sneva, they got it repaired, as we can see there. And back into competition he is in 17th position right now. Black flags don't help you climb in the field at all.
No, they don't. He almost would have been better off without the wing, but it was just about ready to fall out, so they had to get him off there from a safety standpoint. But the car might have actually been faster without the wing, and I'm sure the pit stop was slower because they actually put it back on instead of just tore it off.
Is that an option you might have taken if it were yours to take?
Well, you'd have to be sitting in the race car to feel how it was handling, but the front wings don't do a whole lot of good to a race car on a short track like this here at Mid-Ohio, so you might have been just as well off without it.
Very well off as this man, Bobby Rahal. It's been all Rahal so far at Mid-Ohio on this Sunday afternoon, this Labor Day weekend, seeking his 3rd straight victory in IndyCars on this course, which would equal a record that he shares with Tom Sneva in events in previous years. Rahal moving to the end of the straightaway once again. He's working leader lap number 69. Let's take a look. We had trouble a little while ago with one of the front runners, Mario Andretti, encountering a problem on the race course, and there's Mario Andretti down to the inside up against the Armco. Out of the car is he spun and stalled, had a little damage to the front, Tom Sneva, and he's out of the race.
Yeah, he stalled on the racetrack, so he didn't stall up against the guardrail like this. He did have some damage to the front end of the car, and he wasn't able to keep the motor running, so makes Mario's day a little shorter than he wanted.
Well, the word from the crew is there was just a little more to that incident than what our cameras caught, gentlemen. Apparently, Scott Goodyear spun in front of Mario. He had nowhere to go. He told the crew he T-boned him. That's what put him out of the race.
That brings to 10 the total of retirements out of the 26 starters. Up front again, Bobby Rahal working at his 70th of 84 laps. The clock is winding down on the rest of the competitors to try and reel him in. Roberto Guerrero, as a result, perhaps, of the last round of pit stops, did get into 2nd place. He did not take on tires, but fuel only, and got through Michael Andretti. Of course, Michael's pit stop was a little bit tardy also, over 20 seconds, and the average for the rest of them that came in the 2nd round was about 16 seconds. But Guerrero on old rubber, and perhaps that could betray him before this is ended. There is Roberto Guerrero moving into the keyhole section of the race course, trying to overtake Kevin COGAN once again. There's Bobby Rahal in the S's. Meantime, let's pause for a Quaker quick fact on shock absorbers.
Quick facts are brought to you by New Quaker State with QSX. Keeps your engine cleaner to last longer.
You've heard of air shocks. Let's take a look at the air shock application in an Indy car. This is a Monroe shock. It has 2 components, the bounce cylinder and the rebound or the air cylinder. This has compressed air. You load it up with air just like a football or a basketball. The bounce is connected to the upper A-arm. The rebound is attached to the rear of the gearbox. Now, for practice purposes, they will start soft. Now, if the car is bouncing too much, they soften out the bounce unit. If the rear of the car is walking like this, they stiffen up the air or the rebound unit. It has 6 different settings. So the driver goes out, takes a few laps, comes in, confers with the crew, and they move to the back of the car and make the adjustments on an air shock.
Second place belongs to Roberto Guerrero, but for about 2 laps he's been trying to fight his way through Kevin Cogan on the race course and once again go on the attack against Bobby Rahal. Perhaps his tires betraying him. In the last pit stop he did not take on any rubber. Let's go to Gary Lee with Vince Granatelli and talk about that situation and whether it's going to cost positions for Roberto.
Well, first of all, we'll mention if Vince could, he'd take the move over flag, walk out there to the pit wall and wave it right in front of Cogan, because you're not too happy right now with Cogan.
Well, no, if a car is going to be lapped right now and he's not in contention to win the race, he shouldn't be holding up the second place car.
Let's go back and talk about pit strategy. A very, very quick stop the last time in for fuel only. You elected not to change the tires. Why?
Well, we don't feel that we had to change the tires. He feels that he's comfortable enough to go the entire distance, and we know these are good, and we're going to stay on them.
You can go the distance without fuel. One more stop.
That's another story now. If our car goes the distance without stopping, we got a good chance of finishing right where we are or better.
Yeah, but you're hedging a bit now, because about 5 laps ago you said, no, we're not going to stop again.
Oh, we're definitely not stopping.
All right, there you go. We'll wait and see if those tires betray Roberto Guerrero.
Well, not that pass down the straightaway. Guerrero did finally get through Kevin Cogan, and he now has a little bit of clear track in front of him, but the deficit is 15 seconds. That's what he has to make up to get back to Rahal. Since the pit stop, he has been able to maintain the space of 3 seconds over Michael Andretti. So far, the tires are holding up, and only time will tell us in the last 13 laps of the event if they can continue to do so. Roberto Guerrero second. We're in the concluding laps of the Escort Radar Warning 200 at Mid-Ohio. Stop number 12 on the 1987 Kart PPG Championship season. And Bobby Rahal making a bid for his 3rd straight victory in this event, his 3rd victory of the 1987 season, and a bid to extend his points lead over all the other contenders, most significantly Michael Andretti, who he led by 14 points coming into this afternoon's action, and stands to gain some ground on Andretti, who is currently running in 3rd. Sandwiched between them is second place Roberto Guerrero, who is on old tires, but so far that has not cost him on the racetrack by all apparent indications. Danny Sullivan is 4th, then Rick Mears, then Kevin Cogan in the 6th spot, Emerson Fittipaldi, Jeff Brabham, and Jose Legarza. And we have a spin out on the racetrack. The Rick Moskiewicz car backed up over the embankment, and he has done some damage to the back. He just got loose and looped it around Tom Sneva, and a pretty hard shot there, but cushioned certainly by the dirt.
Well, he looks all right, but the big question is the contact was made between him and Rahal. Is Bobby's car all right? Bobby trying to pass him made contact. Rick didn't see him or whatever, but those two came together. Let's see if it's going to affect Bobby from this point on.
And also spinning out on the course and on the grass is the number 23 car, that of Jeff Wood, the man from Kansas. Take a look at the replay of the bump with Bobby Rahal and Rick Moskiewicz. Here they are. Rahal moving to the inside to get through. Moskiewicz closes the door. There's the contact. Tire to tire. Left front to right rear. Moskiewicz loops it around. Rahal a bit out of shape. Gathers it in right there on the white stripe on the outside of the pavement. Good job by Rahal. Moskiewicz sends the dirt flying as he backs in, and he's out of the car. There you see him sitting on the Armco, and the question is, Tom Sneva, was there damage to that handling to the left front of Bobby Rahal?
Well, we see some smoke off of Bobby now. He looks like he's slowing.
There goes Guerrero. Guerrero is swept into the lead, and Bobby Rahal did obviously sustain some damage in that contact with Rick Moskiewicz, and suddenly the whole picture changes at Mid-Ohio with Roberto Guerrero moving into the lead at the jump, and he's pulling rapidly away from Rahal, who may be in jeopardy of not getting around to the pits at all. Kevin Cogan by him. So is Michael Andretti. So Andretti into the 2nd position, and Bobby Rahal, he's got a left front flat. That's what it is, it looks like, Tom. He's waving at his left front tire, and he will make it to the pits and get a tire, but his race victory potential appears to have gone away with 10 laps to go.
Yeah, Yeah, it does look like the left front is in some kind of trouble, and Bobby's just got to limp back to the pits. Obviously, it could have happened a lot better spot in the racetrack than that, but it looked like it must have been a slow leak because he actually went by the pits one time after contact before he decided he had a real problem.
Meantime, the leaders, Roberto Guerrero and Michael Andretti, have swept into the course. And let's go to Gary Lee as Ray Hall arrives at the pit.
We can now see the end result as he slides to a stop. That left front is flat. The crew goes to work. It's too bad we could not show you the expression on the faces down here when they realized that Bobby had to come in. A very quick stop, but a very costly situation.
One tire on it goes, and away he goes, but Bobby Rahal way back in the field now. Roberto Guerrero is the leader. Michael Andretti has moved into second. A dramatic change at the front of the field at Mid-Ohio, and Bobby Rahal has work cut out for him if he is going to indeed win that third straight victory in this event at the Mid-Ohio course. And right now he stands to lose some ground in terms of points on Michael Andretti. A moment ago it wasn't the case. Bobby Rahal now running in third position at Mid-Ohio and 45 seconds off the lead after the contact with Rick Moskiewicz caused damage to the left front. At least a flat tire and perhaps more. Time will tell whether he can gain any ground or if he falls back further in the field. Danny Sullivan just a few seconds back. Here's what happened, Tom Sneva. Rick Moskiewicz moves over on Bobby Rahal. There's the contact. Moskiewicz up in the air a little bit and slides off the track completely and into the embankment. Bobby Rahal did gather it in, but the damage had been done, and he eventually had to give up the lead and go to the pits. Let's go to the pits and Gary Lee.
We can show you now the end result. What happened when the two cars got together? The valve stem was knocked off here, allowing all the air to escape. That's why Bobby actually went by the pits the first time. Now, as the air went out, we can show you what happens to the tread, or actually the sidewall of the tire as it cuts down to the wheel. Now, if we can turn around and find out where Steve Horn is, we'll check back with Steve momentarily and see exactly what Bobby had to say from the cockpit.
I don't imagine it was pleasant. And look, Michael Andretti is spun off the track, running in second place, and suddenly in the late going, racing luck, negative racing luck, jumping up and biting two of them. First Bobby Rahal and now Michael Andretti, who apparently has no power left. The engine is shut down and his day is done, and he's going to back up in the field as the others come around, and Roberto Guerrero is all alone out in front suddenly by about 45 seconds over second place, Bobby Rahal.
It's a lot of changing in a few laps, I'll tell you. We've got a big change in this race. Guerrero looking obviously pretty strong right now, but bad luck first for Rahal, and now Michael's in trouble. Roberto's looking good.
So Roberto Guerrero now enjoys the lead by a wide margin at Mid-Ohio. And let's go back, for those of you watching the Southern 500, to Jackaroo. Less than 5 laps to go when Roberto Guerrero now well out in front of the rest at Mid-Ohio, having taken over the lead when Bobby Rahal came in contact with Rick Moskiewicz. Shortly thereafter, the man running pretty close behind, Michael Andretti, spun off and his day ended. So the standings are these. Guerrero leads it, then Rahal in second. He got a new tire and back into competition, but a long way to go to catch up, about 45 seconds worth. Danny Sullivan in third and Rick Mears in the fourth position. So Guerrero, whose team, Vince Granatelli and the team, complaining at the beginning about a yellow flag over the first start as an injustice, and then later about Kevin Cogan perhaps blocking in their estimation on the track as an injustice, has gotten the lead anyway, and the lead is 45.33 with less than 5 laps to go. Tom Sneva, unless something goes bad with Guerrero, it's over.
Yeah, Roberto's looking good right now. Obviously, there was concern in the pits with the crew and the start of the race and traffic, but traffic looks like the big story to me right now. Traffic got Mario Andretti in trouble. Michael's in trouble. Rahal had contacts with slower traffic. Guerrero was in traffic. It slowed him down, but he was able to use his head, realize the situation, not get himself in trouble, and now he's leading the race.
4 cars on the lead lap. Guerrero, Rahal, Sullivan, and Mears. And Guerrero has been pulling up on the Rick Mears machine in the last couple of laps and perhaps can put him away. Although at this point, as we look at Danny Sullivan running in the third spot, I would suspect Guerrero would just leave Mears alone with that big cushion he has on Bobby Rahal. Danny Danny Sullivan, who since they went to the March Chevrolet combination full time at the Cleveland race and made the decision, had 4 out of 5 top 5 finishes coming into Mid-Ohio, and appears to be putting another one of those in the book, but not a win for him today, apparently. There's the man who has the handle on it at the moment, Roberto Guerrero, who won from 22nd starting position back in Phoenix, came from way back in the pack, went through everyone, got through a stop-and-go penalty to pick up his first career victory, and just a couple of laps from now could pick up his second career victory. A big day for that team.
It could be a big day, but the big question mark still remains fuel. We talked to Vince earlier. He wasn't sure. They're planning on going the distance, but you know, they haven't been getting the fuel mileage that some of the other top teams have been getting. So that's the only question mark it looks like right now.
Less than 4 laps to go, Tom Sneva, and a 42-second margin the last time it flashed on our screen in front of us. A break perhaps for Roberto in that he could get off the boost a little bit, conserve that fuel, and make it a less critical question.
Yeah, the only one that could tell us the truth right now would be Guerrero on where their mileage is. But because he's got that kind of a cushion, he doesn't have to work the car that hard. He can shift it a little bit shorter, meaning not turning the RPMs, and RPMs take fuel. So if he can cut down on those RPMs, he'll be all right.
Speed guns have them about 180 miles an hour on this straightaway. Roberto Guerrero with less than 4 laps now to go, less than 3 as he turns into the S's, is the race leader. Now down to a 37-second margin over Bobby Rahal, the last pass through the timing lights, and 41 seconds over third place Danny Sullivan. Very comfortable is he over the jump. The right-hander heading back to the front straightaway. Roberto Guerrero looking for career win number 2. The closing stages of the race at Mid-Ohio. Welcome back, everybody. Roberto Guerrero is the man in the lead, and he is well off the pace in terms of what he'd been doing earlier. There you see Emerson Fittipaldi go by him. A moment ago, it was Kevin COGAN going by him. Bobby Rahal, the last 2 laps, has run 5 seconds per lap faster. The problem is he's probably too far back to catch up. Still 32 seconds in arrears of Roberto Guerrero. Bobby Rahal had won the last 2 INDYCAR events here in 1985 and 1986. Looked like a good bet for his 3rd consecutive until he got in contact with Rick Miskiewicz. And now Roberto Guerrero will take no chances. He will cruise it home if at all possible, Tom.
Well, that's his objective right now. I'm sure Bobby didn't want to be in that position. Bobby's probably running the car harder than he had all day, trying to catch Roberto right here. Roberto, again, a lot slower than he was earlier, and sometimes this can be a problem for a driver. You lose your momentum if you slow down too much, and being 5 seconds off the pace right now, it could be a problem.
We know he did not change tires the last time into the pits. Getting off the pace, slowing down has to help that situation as well.
Yeah, it does, but you know, we're on the white flag lap now, so you know, he's just got to bring it around a few more corners, bring it on home to that checkered flag.
Roberto Guerrero is very smooth, and everything is fine as he works the last lap of the 84. 28 seconds behind that. The last pass was Bobby Rahal as he goes through turn number 1, but he has to look a far piece up the track to see Roberto Guerrero. And there you see Danny Sullivan running in 3rd place, running hard right now, trying to reel in Bobby Rahal in the last few seconds of this event. Meantime, at the end of the straightaway in the S's and at the jump is Roberto Guerrero, less than half a lap away from his 2nd career victory and an opportunity to gain some ground, at least in the points chase for 1987. But with Rahal in 2nd, he's still going to come away in pretty good shape, particularly since Michael Andretti had spun off. And here comes the Kevin COGAN car on the front straightaway through the carousel. Now is Roberto Guerrero. He straightens it up. Nick Finoro waves the checkered flags, and Roberto Guerrero, fist raised in the air, has captured the Escort Radar Warning 200 at Mid-Ohio, his 2nd career victory. Happy crew down there. Vince Granatelli's charges. They did a lot right and took a chance with the tires, and he picked it up. And Bobby Rahal now tours through the carousel. He will finish in 2nd position and pick up 16 points. And there's Danny Sullivan in the 3rd finishing position, his 5th top 5 finish in the last 6 races with the March of '86 and the Chevrolet power plant.
Well, a good day for Guerrero and also Danny again running in the top 3. doing a good job with a year-old race car.
Nice victory for Roberto Guerrero, his first since Phoenix and the second of his career.
Good job.
Roberto Guerrero is the winner at Mid-Ohio by a margin of 25.9 seconds over Bobby Rahal, followed by Danny Sullivan and Rick Mears, and then Kevin COGAN. Good day for the Penske team, a great day for the Granatelli group. Emerson Fittipaldi in sixth spot, then Jeff Brabham, Jose Legarza, Derek Daly, and the rookie John Andretti, sixth at Elkhart in his first IndyCar ride, and now 10th at Mid-Ohio. Excellent runs for John Andretti on both his inaugural weekends in IndyCar racing. Let's go down to Larry Newber at the pits.
Well, we're down here in the very happy victory lane. Vince Granatelli is to my immediate right. Vince, you talked at the beginning of the race how sometimes you guys seem to win races. I know this is only the second one when things are at least adverse, and you did it again.
Well, we're awful happy. I mean, Roberto's long overdue. We should have won before. We're so happy we won this race. I love him.
Roberto, what'd you think all day long? First that start, which was a most unusual one. Then you chased Bobby. Did you think you had a chance in the middle stages of this event?
Well, obviously Bobby was running very strong, and if we hadn't had a problem, I think it would have been tough to catch. And then after we played what I believe was good strategy, we didn't change tires on the second stop, so we got Michael, and as it happened, they got into trouble after. So, we'll take it. We're very happy.
You picked up a few points on Bobby, but Bobby finished second. You guys are still in the hunt, but boy, it's going to be tough with just 3 races to go.
Sure, he's very tough, and they're very consistent, and they don't drop out of many races. So, but as long as there's a chance, we're going to keep trying. We're not going to give up for sure.
You know, this is some debut for you as a car owner. This guy was so close for so many races at winning. Now he's got you. He's got 2.
Well, with a True Value STP car doing a great job as it did today, and my great crew and great driver, I hope we keep going.
He was the fastest qualifier, and now he sits in victory lane.
Very happy scene down there, to be sure.